Two people are handed the exact same disaster, the same job lost, the same door slammed, the same year that falls apart. One of them is quietly destroyed by it. The other is quietly built by it. Same event, opposite outcomes. And the only thing standing between them is a mental attitude, which is not something you are born with. It is something you can train. By the end of this, you will know how to build the kind of attitude that hardship cannot break. Napoleon Hill spent his life studying why some people rise from the exact circumstances that bury everyone else. Late in that life, he joined forces with a man named W. Clement Stone, who had started with almost nothing and built a fortune worth hundreds of millions, selling insurance door to door of all things. And when the two of them put everything they knew into one idea, it came down to three letters: PMAA, a positive mental attitude. Not a mood, not fake cheerfulness, a trained way of meeting whatever life puts in front of you. Here is the first thing you have to see clearly. The event itself is neutral. It has no meaning until you give it one. Lose the job, and one person says, "My life is over." Another says, "I have just been forced to find something better." The event did not change. The meaning did. And the meaning is what decides everything that happens next, because your mind acts on the meaning, not on the event. Most people live as though the world writes their story for them. Something happens, and they simply react, the way a leaf reacts to the wind. Hill's whole point was that between what happens to you and how you respond, there is a space. And in that space is the one freedom no one can ever take from you: the freedom to choose your attitude. Hill and Stone had a picture for this. They said every person carries something like an invisible talisman, a coin with two sides. On one side, a positive mental attitude; on the other, a negative one. The same coin, the same person. And in any moment, you decide which side is facing up. The trouble is that most people let the negative side face up by default, all day, every day, and then wonder why life feels so heavy. They never learned that they were the one holding the coin. A negative attitude does not announce itself. It sounds like being realistic. It sounds like protecting yourself. It whispers that you should not get your hopes up, that people like you do not get those things, that it is smarter to expect the worst. And every time you agree with it, you turn the coin to the side that repels the very thing you say you want. So understand this. A positive mental attitude is not a feeling. This is where almost everyone gets it wrong. They wait to feel positive. And when the feeling does not come, they decide it is not for them. But the attitude comes first, and the feeling follows it. You do not wait to feel courageous to act. You act, and the courage catches up. You do not wait to feel positive to choose the better meaning. You choose it, and the feeling arrives later. Sometimes much later, but it arrives. That means on your worst morning, when nothing in you feels hopeful, you can still decide the attitude you will carry into the day. It is a decision made with the mind, regardless of the weather inside you. And a decision is something you can make even when you do not feel like it. Stay with me, because the next part is the mechanism that makes this more than positive thinking. And it is the piece almost every motivational speech leaves out. Hill discovered something in every single success story he studied. without exception. He said that every adversity, every failure, every heartbreak carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Not a nice thought to feel better with. A working principle. The setback and the seed arrive together in the same package. But the seed is small and easy to miss, and it will only grow if someone goes looking for it. The negative mind never looks. It sees the loss, calls it the end, and closes the book. The positive mind asks a different question. It asks, what is this here to teach me? What door does this close so that a better one has to open? Where is the seed? And because it asks, it finds. This is the entire difference. Two people, same wreckage. One walks away with nothing but the wound. The other walks away with the wound and the seed and plants it. You have already lived this, whether you noticed or not. Somewhere in your past is a loss that felt like the end at the time, that you can now see was the doorway to something you would never give back. That was the seed. The only question going forward is whether you wait years to see it by accident or train yourself to go looking for it on purpose, the moment the hard thing lands. Look at the man Hill wrote this with. W. Clement Stone was a poor kid from Chicago, selling newspapers on the street, then selling insurance policies with almost no money to his name. What he had instead was a relentless trained optimism and a two-word command he repeated to himself constantly. Do it now. When fear said wait, he moved. When a door closed, he treated it as one door closer to the one that would open. The trader attitude. And Luridon said my door too, sat determined from he present volition. He did not feel brave on every one of those doorsteps. He decided his attitude and knocked anyway. From that, and almost nothing else, he built one of the largest insurance fortunes in the country. Stone was not lucky, and he was not born special. He simply refused to let a negative attitude make his decisions for him, day after day, until the results had no choice but to follow. But a positive attitude is not only built, it has to be guarded because it leaks. Hill was blunt about this. A negative mental attitude is contagious, and you are catching it constantly. From the news designed to frighten you, from the people around you who have quietly given up and want company, from your own inner voice repeating things it learned a long time ago. So you have to guard the gate. Watch what you let in, because whatever you let in, you slowly become. This does not mean pretending problems do not exist. It means refusing to let other people's fear and your own worst habits of thought set up permanent residence in your mind. You would not let someone dump garbage in your home every day. Your mind is worth more than your home. And most people leave the door wide open. And be honest about where the negative side came from. No one is born expecting the worst. It was taught by a hard season, by people who were afraid for you, by disappointments that trained you to stop hoping so that you would stop hurting. That programming was not your fault, but it is now your responsibility because you are the only one who can override it. Every time you catch the old thought and choose the better one, you are not just having a good day. You are slowly rewriting the instructions the mind runs on. Repeat it long enough, and the positive side becomes the one that flips up on its own, and the whole weight of your inner life begins to change. Hill put all of this, the coin, the seed, the guarding, into a book he wrote with W. Clement Stone called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. If you want the full system, in far more detail than we can cover here, that is where it lives. It is the closest thing there is to an instruction manual for the mind we are describing. And if this is helping, do one small thing before we go on. Subscribe, so the next lesson reaches you, because an attitude is trained by repetition, and this channel is built to repeat it with you every Tuesday and Friday. The book is linked below if you want to go deeper on your own. Now, here's is what a positive attitude actually does once it is running. It changes what you expect, and expectation quietly shapes everything you do. Walk into a room expecting to be rejected, and you carry yourself in a way that invites it. Walk in expecting that something good is possible, and you speak, and stand, and reach out in a completely different way, and the room responds to that. Nothing supernatural. You simply become the kind of person that good outcomes are drawn to, because you stopped acting like they were impossible. And enthusiasm follows expectancy. Hill considered enthusiasm a force, not a mood. A person who has decided that the future is worth building brings a fire to ordinary work that others cannot fake. People feel it. Opportunities move toward it. The positive attitude is not passive at all. It is the engine that gets you to act, and to keep acting, long after the person with the negative attitude has sat down. So how do you actually train this? It comes down to catching the moment. All day long, life hands you small events, a rude message, a plan that falls through, a mistake, a fear. And in that half second before you react, the coin is flipping. Your job is to catch it and turn it on purpose. When the hard thing lands, you learn to run 3 quick moves. First, you notice. You catch the negative thought instead of being swept away by it, and you name it. That is just my mind turning the coin to the dark side. Second, you flip it. You deliberately ask the positive question. Where is the seed? What can this teach me? What is still possible here? Third, you act on the better meaning, immediately, with one small step, because an attitude that never moves is just a mood. There is a shortcut most people never use, and it runs through the body. Your attitude shows up in how you sit, how you breathe, how you carry your shoulders. But it runs both ways. Change the body, and the mind follows. Stand up straight when you feel like folding. Slow your breathing when fear speeds it up. Speak the next sentence as though you already expect it to go well. You are not faking anything. You are giving the mind physical evidence for the attitude you chose. And the mind believes evidence. And you set the tone before the day even starts. Each morning, the dillage of a vilju sudide, ander humid, problemly reached. Before the world reaches you, you decide, out loud, the attitude you will carry today, no matter what comes. You are not lying to yourself about your problems. You are deciding, in advance, which side of the coin faces up, so that when trouble comes, and it will, you are not choosing your response in a panic. You already chose, and there is one attitude that turns the whole coin over faster than any other. Gratitude. It is almost impossible to hold fear and gratitude in the same breath. When the negative side keeps flipping up, and it will, The fastest way to turn it is to name, out loud, 3 things that are already going right, however small. This is not denial. The problems are still there. But a mind soaked in gratitude notices possibilities that a mind soaked in complaint walks straight past. Hill considered a grateful attitude one of the surest signs that a person had taken real command of their own mind. And here is the deepest part, the part that turns this from a technique into a kind of freedom. You will not always get to choose what happens to you. Some of it will be unfair. Some of it will hurt. But you will always get to choose the attitude you bring to it. That single space between the event and your response is the one piece of ground no person, no circumstance, no bad year can ever take from you. Most people surrender it without a fight. The moment you stop surrendering it, you become genuinely hard to break because your peace is no longer for sale to your circumstances. That is what unbreakable actually means. Not that nothing hard ever happens. Hard things will keep happening to you for the rest of your life. It means the hard things stop getting the final say. You do. So start today. The next time something goes wrong, and it will, catch the coin. Notice the dark side trying to face up. Turn it. Ask where the seed is, and then take one small action while the decision is still warm. Do that enough times, and it stops being effort and becomes who you are. A person the storms cannot flatten. You were never at the mercy of what happens to you. You were only ever at the mercy of how you decided to meet it. So decide better, starting now, and come back Tuesday and Friday, because we are building this mind together, one attitude at a time. I will see you in the next one.